Hi everyone, welcome to my podcast, Bring It On, it's Dom. I'm very happy tonight because I got a member of my favorite band of all time, Little Texas, Dwayne Probst with me. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing mighty fine, Don. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I was so pumped up for this podcast like never before, because you guys have been my favorite band for over 20 years. Don't want to make you feel old, but it's true.
Well, I am old. I have to admit it, but I've been young for a long time.
Yeah. I remember the first time I heard you guys, I was on a road trip in Texas, and I think it was your first single. It was Some Guys Have All the Luck that was playing on the radio. And I remember back in the, late 80s, 1991, if I remember. I remember, it was a sound that was totally different for what was being played on radio back in the day. So I became an instant fan of country music. So you not only became my favorite band, but I never listened to country music before that. And so I was introduced to your sound. And I remember then, Travis Tritt was coming up. There was so many great singers, Clint Black. And so that was the good old days,
Well, all that music is still around. Clint Black and Travis, all the people that we toured with back in the 90s, they're still around and everybody's still making great music. In fact, I heard a new Travis Tritt cut today and about fell out of my truck because it sounded so good. I was like, wow, Travis has still got it.
Oh my God! I think that as a live performer, it's probably the best that I've seen, along with Neil McCoy. This guy can rock.
Funny. Well, Neil McCoy, Neil is one of my favorite people. I've known Neil since I was 15 years old. I grew up in Longview, Texas, and Neil is from Longview, and he actually used to mow my neighbor's grass.
Oh my God!
When I was in high school, and we'd stop our lawnmowers. I was mowing my grass, he'd be mowing my neighbor's grass, and we'd talk about what he's doing in Nashville and stuff, and it just blew my mind. And he was a big, big influence on me. Because he went out there and just did it. And, he said, there's no reason why anybody can't do this. Because, if you have the guts and have a little bit of talent, you can get a record deal in Nashville.
Exactly. Because you guys, Little Texas, it was years of hard work, to get. You were on the road. I remember interviews from back in the day. 320 dates a year. So you were basically playing a show every night for 3 years in a row.
Yeah. Well, I always tell people I put all my belongings in storage for 3.5 years. And when I came to Nashville, I'd stay in the hotel room, and I would be here for a couple of days, and then we'd leave again. It's crazy.
That's incredible.
And again, I was 24 years old. I could handle it. It's good.
It's incredible. It's kind of like the same kind of lifestyles and wrestlers have. They're on the road all the time.
I've never heard that comparison, but yeah, you're right.
The only difference is that instead of
we're
being...
not getting our heads beat in every night.
Yeah. But the thing is, with wrestlers, that I agree because I'm a big wrestling fan. They're in the ring for 10, depending on their role, 10 to 15 to 20 minutes a night, while you would be playing for 3-4 hours. Of course, you're not getting powerbomb through tables or thumbtacks, but
no.
You're still, it's very hard because I remember seeing you live at Billy Bob's in 1992, if I remember correctly. And most of the time, I've been to Billy Bob's many, many times because I love Texas. It's kind of like my home away from home. And I've seen a lot of shows there, but, sometimes I was very disappointed by the length of the shows. Like, they would last for 80 minutes, 75 minutes, but you guys were there for, I think, 2 hours and 45 minutes, and hits after hits, and playing songs, live from the crowd would say a name of a song from Charlie Pride, and you would go like, oh, okay, here we go, bam, and you played God Bless Texas not once, not twice, I think 3 times during that show.
You know what? I know exactly the night you're talking about.
You do?
It's funny that you were there because that was the only time that ever happened.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that was one of those crazy nights at Billy Bob's when we were just there having fun, and we never really had a set list, but we just actually threw the set list out of the way, and we just talked to people and said, what do you want to hear? And so they'd holler out something, and we go, okay, we can do that one. And we start playing it.
And it shows your talent as a band, but also I would say the chemistry, because you can't. A lot of people are put together. You know, they come to Nashville and they're like, okay, here's a lead singer, here's a good guitar player, here's a bass player. You're the bass player on the band, but at the same time, you know, all of you guys have your roles down to T, and everybody, you know, the melody and everything. You know, that's chemistry. That's something you just can't buy. And that's what I noticed with Little Texas the first time around, is that when you listen to the songs on the radio, or whether you listen to you live, you know, I think you even sound better live than you do on the radio, which is not, you know, just to say how much, you know, you guys rock when you're live. And it's not easy to play live, you know. It's not easy to sound the same as you do on your records, but don't necessarily have to sound exactly the same. But at the same time, if you listen to the song, it takes 50 seconds to recognize the song, and then you know you have a problem, right?
Exactly. You know, we always pattern ourselves after the Eagles. You know, the Eagles had this crazy blend, this crazy chemistry of people that just plain worked. But they had timeless songs. And, you know, Eagles to this day, you know, I was taking my daughter to school this morning, and one of the Eagles songs came in from 1974 on the radio. And I said, man, I looked at her and I said, I cannot believe this is from 1974. You know, 'cause it sounds so good. It sounds timeless. You know, it sounds like it was recorded yesterday. And, you know, my 14-year-old daughter looks at me and she starts singing the song. She knew every word to it. So,
Wow.
yeah, that's what we tried to accomplish.
And you know, you also had my favorite song, "Peaceful Easy Feeling," that you did, you know, back in the day. You know, that was a great version of one of those songs. You know, that you, I still have that album. You know, and it was a great. I think it won the album of the year, right?
Yeah, Common Thread was album of the year for CMA in '94, I believe.
Wow, that's amazing. And, you know, I remember, you know, a few years ago, I had Tim Russell on my podcast, and he was talking about when God Bless Texas kind of became the it was. And the surprising thing about it is that it became as big anywhere, not necessarily in Texas. It would be in Indiana or, you know, in Oklahoma, or you'd be in Nashville or anywhere. You know, that song became your signature hit. And even today, you know, I'm sure you can't not go and play this song, right? You can.
Well, if we tried not to do it, you know, there would probably be gunfire.
I agree.
They would shoot us. But yeah, you know, it is really a staple of the band. It was funny about that. I don't know if Tim told you this story or not, but our producer, James Stroud, when we were doing the Big Time album, he wasn't there very much. And he was listening to the tracks after we got everything done pretty much, and he goes, all right, we'll put finger snaps on 2 and 4 on that Drive Me Crazy song, and if you release God Bless Texas, it's going to be the end of your career. Got to go.
Are you? Yeah, I don't remember. I don't. Not,
he's since recanted that statement.
Oh my goodness! My goodness!
Yeah, it's going to be the end of your career. Yeah.
And it became, you know, I would say probably one of the top 10 biggest hits in country music history, because even today, you know, it gets a regular, you know, you can hear it on the radio. You know, I was listening to Iowa on Sirius XM this afternoon, and it got played. It gets played, you know, even today, not just God Bless Texas, but you guys have a few jams, you know, that over the years, you know, will never die, you know, like What Might Have Been, or You and Forever and Me, Kick a Little, Life Goes On. There's a lot of songs, you know, that still gets a lot of airplay on the radio even today, 20 years, but not 20 years for all the songs, but 15 to 20 years after they came on the radio.
Well, sure. You know, well, the other night on The Voice, Tuesday night, Blake Shelton had one of his team members sing My Love.
Wow.
And I don't know if you've seen any of the tweets on that. NBC tweeted to us. You know, The Voice tweeted to us. Blake Shelton tweeted to us. It was just a really, really cool thing to hear that song. My phone literally almost blew up with people calling me as soon as that thing came on TV. People were,
wow.
This guy's singing My Love on The Voice. I turned it on. I was like, wow, sure enough.
It's something, you know, because he
did a great job. You know, Zach, 17-year-old kid, and Blake told him, you know, this is a song that's before your time, and it's kind of a forgotten song, but I think you can sing it. And, you know, the kid, well, he wasn't even born when that song came out, but he really embraced it and did a great job with it.
That's incredible. I think Brady Seals was the one singing the lead vocals on this one, right?
Yes, he did.
And it was an awesome singing, because you have over the years, a lot of lead singers. But the thing is about Little Texas is what stands the test of time is the sound has never changed. From 1990 first album to now your new album, the sound is the same in terms of. It's Little Texas music. You just can't, I would say, like Travis Tritt or Neil McCoy. You can go like, oh my God, it's the sound, the melodies on the ballads, and I would say the swagger on the up tempo songs. It's amazing new song you have on the record, is You Can Get in a Hurry Here. And that's one thing, that I think is very underrated from you guys is that you're known as the country rock guys, that came out, and a lot of people remember the God Bless Texas and all, but you had more ballads on the radio than even up-tempo songs, and those ballads were great, but there's a lot of hidden gems, from the records that didn't become necessarily hits, but this one is an amazing example of, there's more lyrics, there's more words in that one song than in some people's old album, and I'm sure that for Porter, to be able to sing it and to remember every word, there's a lot of words. I was, reading the lyrics, and I just want to go like Sweet Virginia's Diner is a lot like This Old Town, kind of small, out of the way, but while you settle down. Get a cold drink and a warm smile, get out the heat a while, drop in to say hey, end up spending all day, because you can't get in a hurry here. Not in these parts, Don't know the days pass like dew drops falling down the tea glass, like a fan blade turning slowly around above a Sunday church crowd. Life goes on in lower gear, and you can get in a hurry here. So that's, it's kind of like you almost reading it, a good book, and it's a song, and the song is absolutely amazing. But I know you guys write your own songs, but this is probably one of the best songs I've heard in a long time. And
thank you.
What was the inspiration behind this song?
Well, I'll tell you, every song on the new album, Known for a Long Time, has a story behind it. And that particular one, we were down in Sturgis, Mississippi. They have a big motorcycle rally down there every year. It's called Sturgis South. And this little old bitty town of Sturgis, Mississippi just gets inundated with bikes. And we had just a few minutes, to kill between, when we got there and loaded all the stuff out of the bus, and, the sound crew was setting up. And so they took us to lunch. So they put us on a little golf cart, and we went through the whole campgrounds and everything, and to the one diner in that little town of Sturgis. And the place was packed. And somehow they, ran people out or whatever. They found us a table, and the promoter, tells the waitress, these guys are in a hurry. We got to feed them quick so they can get back over here to sound check. And she looked at him, and in her best Southern drawl, she goes, "Well, honey, you can't get in a hurry here."
Wow.
And the reason why that song is pretty easy to remember is that the visuals, in the lyric, we saw all that happen. The fans at the top of that little diner, the sweat coming off the tea glasses, everything actually happened. It's so real, it's not even funny. Everything is real that we do. Especially with this new album, everything has an experience that is connected with it. The sweat coming off. So it's really undeniable.
That's incredible. I just want to take, if it's okay, just a second for people to listen to. I saw the song the first time, a show you did in Texas, a TV, not necessarily in Texas. It's a TV show that you did that's on YouTube. Where you played "Gotta Get Down Home," "God Bless Texas," and "You Can Get in a Hurry Here." So it's a show from, I would say, 2 years ago, and totally amazing, And I just want people to listen to maybe 30 seconds of the songs we're talking about right now. You Can Get in a Hurry Here. So. God Bless Texas, and You Can Get in a Hurry Here. So it's a show from, I would say, 2 years ago. And
every time we vote it down and say, appreciate it just the same. All the main streets and the dirt roads and take you anywhere you wanna go at a nice easy pace. And just like we were raised, you can't get in a hurry here, no. 'Cause the best things in life are worth waiting on, like a cane pole bobbing on a still pond, like a first rain falling on a fresh planted field, and knowing all it will give, and giving thanks for it every year. You can't get in a hurry here.
Wow, that's, I really love this song. It has the old Texas sound imprinted on it, but also, like I said before, you guys, with like old wine, you get better with age. The songs are deeper, more emotional, and the lyrics get better with each and every album.
Thank you. We get older with each and every album.
Yeah, and more experience and more life stories to share, and it's almost like the journey of your lives, that we see, from album to album. And there's no hurry. You're not rushing albums like, okay, now we have to do an album. It's been like almost 6-7 years between the last two albums. But I'd rather wait 5 or 6 years and have a beautiful album like this than have a new one every year with 1 or 2 hits and the rest just fillers.
Well, that's what happens when you're in the big machine. You're pressured to put out a new album every year or every 2 years, and when you're touring really hard, you really don't have time to sit down and write like you want to. And that's one thing we've been able to do is take our time, find great songs, great content, try them out on our crowds. If they get up and go to the bathroom, then we go, okay, that's not going to work. Yeah. But the ones that stick, we can tell by the reaction of the crowd what hits them in the heart, and that's what we keep.
Exactly. But I'm sure that, do you test new songs live before you record them, or you really want to nail it down a lot before you go on and perform new songs?
No, we usually just kind of learn them during sound check. We don't rehearse.
Wow.
We haven't rehearsed in years. But during sound check, somebody will bring a song and go, hey, let's try this. It goes like this, and we'll start messing with it, and then eventually it'll come in the set. And yeah, that's when we do it. We test it down the crowd.
That's amazing.
And put it in.
That's incredible. A few questions from people on Twitter. A good friend of mine, Quistoni, asking you, what inspired you to write the song that we haven't talked about yet, but Slow Ride Home. Slow Ride Home, that is totally amazing. My favorite, like I told you before the podcast, one of my favorite songs in years. And he also wants to know, it really seems like it's really important to you guys to do this song. So what you can talk first about the song, Slow Ride Home, and tell me more about the story of the song and what is behind the story also. What made this song happen?
Okay. Well, let's start at the beginning. We are very, very big supporters of our military. These guys that go out there and put themselves on the line every day, risking life and limb. They don't have the biggest support of our government, and we just appreciate everybody that's ever served in uniform, no matter what country they are. If you're defending your country in a free world, then we are behind you. But in this particular case, we were in Hays, Kansas. We were on our way to a fair down there, and we're going down the road, and we started seeing all these flags popping up on the side of the road, and more, and then cars lined up down the highway, and motorcycles with flags. There's all these American flags, and we're going, well, it's not Flag Day, it's not Veterans Day, it's not 4th of July. We didn't know what was going on, and so we got down the highway to the fairgrounds, and we asked our promoter, what was happening here? He goes, oh, well, there's a kid named Brian Nichols. He was in the U.S. Army. He was a Chinook helicopter pilot, and he was carrying SEAL Team 6. And his helicopter got shot down in Afghanistan,
My God.
and they're bringing him home to be buried today.
My goodness.
And that story was just so strong. And later we met the family, met his wife, met his, his brother, his cousins, his aunts, uncles, family, mom and dad, everybody. And we just kind of told that story about, anybody that lost their life, defending their country. But the way that little town turned out, we took all the images that we saw going down the road and plugged them into a song. And there is a video on our website at LittleTexasOnline.com that uses all the pictures that small town newspaper took that day. And, we made a video out of it.
Yeah, I just tweeted it, and that's the video. That's what I was watching today, and I was at work and showing it to my coworkers, and there was not a dry eye, in the room. Everybody was very emotional, and we got people, in the chat room, Eder Depew and Christy Elmer saying that she cried listening to Slow Ride Home, and Eder reporting Slow Ride Home is an amazing song to hear live at Little Texas Show. You can feel the emotion on your skin, and it's true, because I heard the video and also the live version you did in a radio station. Porter was basically playing with his guitar, and you guys were around him, and he came in on the chorus, and it was absolutely amazing. It's one, I would say, the kind of song you don't hear anymore, and just gave me back my faith in music. That I still believe now that can be good music coming out, and I just want to thank you for coming up with an amazing song like this. It just, not just for me, but all the people, and and also dedication to the soldiers. So that's the kind of song that anybody can listen, and to everybody, the lost people, close to them, at war or in the battlefield. That's a very great song.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's one of the hardest songs for me personally to do, because before we started, we always acknowledge the veterans that are in the crowd. We ask them to raise their hands or stand up, and so everybody can give them a little applause and recognize their service. And there's some nights when the crowd's just full of them. And one night I remember we were doing a fair, and I can't remember where it was, but this little fella, he stood up and he had a Vietnam veteran's hat on, and he got his cane and worked himself up out of his chair and stood up proud. And I swear, dude, I could barely croak that song out that night.
Wow.
Just choked me up so bad. And there's nights when it's kind of normal to sing it, but there's nights that just really, really hits you hard.
It really does, and it's just for people who never had a chance to listen to it. I just want to take again just a minute to show a little part of the song, "Slow Ride Home."
Since we won state, past the diner and the barber shop, got my first buzz cut, past the school and the church and that garage where I worked, till I signed up. All the flags flying at half-mast, tears fill the eyes of the people as I when we first kissed, fell in love and made a pact. I'd make her my wife and we'd start the rest of our lives when I got back. There stands the president of the Lions Club, he got back in 72. Purple heart on the chest of his black leather vest, and a big salute.
Wow, so that's, again, if people never listen to the song, I'm sure that they can feel the emotion. And the video is so beautiful with all the still pictures and, like not black and white, but vintage kind of style, and just speechless. There's not much to add than what we just heard, totally amazing song. I'm sure you're very proud of the way it came out. And the video also, who made the video, Dwayne?
Well, our friends at Conquer Entertainment, J. Mark Bailey was a big part of that, and they have a team. We have some really cool people working behind us, and Jorgen Bailey is from the Carolinas. We met him for the first time in Utah, and he has been just a wonderful champion for us over the last 2 years. Doing all kinds of things for us, and he actually set that video in motion and got it done. And, our thanks to him tonight for sure. And also, I do want to, you said something about Christy Helmer. Christy Helmer has been one of our biggest fans for probably 20 years. She's one of my favorite people in the world, so I want to give a big old shout out to the Helmer.
That's awesome. And, I would say that Porter also, his voice, has matured over the years, and an amazing lead singer. And he conveys the emotion of a song very well through his, the way he sings. He's, and I also noticed something else on the new album. There's 2 new versions, God Bless Texas and What Might Have Been, 17 years later. And, but it still sound awesome.
Well, the record label asked us to do that. I'll tell you a funny thing about that God Bless Texas cut. The first time we cut it, we've been doing it live a certain way so long, we forgot to record the last chorus of it. If we didn't realize it until we were mixing, if we went, oh crap, we've got to redo this.
My God.
We're so used to having this whole part, the crowd singing it, and we left that part out. But that's actually a part of the song. So we cut 35 seconds out of it. Why is this so short?
My goodness.
We had to go back and re-record it and fix it. So it's just us being idiots.
Even after all these years, everybody's bound to make mistakes. That's the cool thing, and that makes for good bloopers. That's. I noticed on your YouTube videos, you have some bloopers and stuff from the road, which is very interesting and fun to see, the life on the road. That's something, I had a podcast a few months ago with Steve DeChavy from their show Dead Files, and they're on the road all the time. And that's what, basically, for an hour, we just talked about driving, cheap motel rooms, and sometimes getting lost in the middle of nowhere with GPS driving you to the wrong direction. And I'm sure that we exactly that question from Shayla Michelle Quick on Twitter, asking you that you visited some historical place in your career, and which one is your favorite place you've ever visited over the years?
Favorite historical place?
Historical, yeah.
Wow, man, golly, there's been so many. Myself, the Alamo is pretty special to me, but, I'm a Texan. I've never been asked that before. I'd really have to think about that for a while.
That's a good question, right? There's Shayla, but I would say I've been to the Alamo. I could feel the history as a paranormal investigator. That was even before I started investigating. I could feel the energy there was overwhelming, and that's one of my favorite cities. San Antonio in Texas, and you guys being named Little Texas. Were you all born in Texas, or you lived part of your lives in Texas, or?
Yeah, Porter and I are both from Longview, Texas. We grew up together there and moved to Nashville when we got out of high school and went to Belmont College. And we've pretty much been here ever since. I spent 2 years down in Houston, which those 2 years were wonderful. I loved it. I'd love to go back, but we do all live in Nashville because you kind of have to be here.
Yeah.
You really don't have a choice. When you're in this business, you kind of have to be around here. But wow, going back to the historical thing, the rest of the band went and toured the White House during the Clinton administration, and I refused to go.
Wow.
So, not to get political, but I am a very strong conservative, and I just kind of put my foot down and said, no, I'm not going in there.
My goodness, yeah. Have you ever been here in Canada touring before?
Oh, yeah. Good Lord. I could tell you stories about Canada that, I really can't tell you. Yes. I've got one great story about Canada. In 1990, we were on a show called Star Search that was pretty much the world's first American Idol. And we were finalists on Star Search. And that show came out in, I want to say, January or February of 1990. In 1992, we were out on the road with Clint Black, and it was right after the Sky Dome in Toronto opened. So we got in a day early, and, being in a hotel, you kind of have to go out of the hotel to kind of scout around and try to find food. And our drummer, Dell, went to a pizza place around the corner from the hotel, and the guy that served our pizza, or his pizza to him, goes, man, I know you. And he goes, you do? He goes, yeah, I was on Star Search with you. I was in this band called Mad About Plaid, and we beat you in the finals of Star Search.
My goodness. Such a small world. When you think about it, that's incredible. It is such a small world.
How weird is that? but we've always had a lot of fun up there. Toronto especially, doing the Sky Dome. You play the Sky Dome, you feel like you've gone to Madison Square Garden. It's such a massive place. They actually cut it in half, and it was still massive.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. We've been there to see WrestleMania about the same year you were there, and that's very impressive. Impressive big stadium. But to play a stadium, is it? If I told you that, what would you prefer to play? A Billy Bob's, like this honky tonk, feeling where you're close to the crowd, an arena, or a stadium, or you like all of them with different ways to interact. I'm sure it's not the same preparation for a show, let's say in a stadium, that it would be for a small, intimate honky tonk or a club, right?
For me, it's the same preparation.
Okay.
I take my shoes off, I put my bass on, and I go out there and hit it. Now, I like, big stages. I love arenas. I like a big 35-foot stage where I can run and I've got, room to do stuff. And, that's a lot of fun for me. That's my happy place. Clubs, I spent so much time in them when I was in high school that I'm not as comfortable in them now at 48 years old. It's kind of like, well, okay. Stadiums, I'll take it every day. You put 15 to 17,000 people in front of me, I'm a happy camper.
Wow. That's awesome, because you've had the chance. Not a lot of performers have been able to perform in stadiums like that. And like you said, you toured with Clint Black, with Travis Tritt. You were headliners for years. You still headline your own shows. But we have a good question from Bernita on Twitter saying, who would you like to play with that you have not had a chance to play with yet? And not necessarily just in country music, but in music in general.
As a band or as a bass player?
As a bass player, as a bass player, right? Good.
A bass player? Van Halen.
Wow. I would love to see that.
We met Van Halen, and I told Michael Anthony, when he was still the bass player, I said, man, if you ever want to leave this gig, please call me.
Hey,
and,
I'm ready.
Eddie fired him and put his kid in there, so I tweeted one day, Eddie, if you ever want to fire your kid and hire me, let's go. I would do Van Halen in a heartbeat. What band have we not worked with as Little Texas that we'd like to work with. Alabama.
Oh, wow.
I would love to do a show with Alabama.
That would be that would be another great show, because these guys, are ageless, also very great singers, and they've been around for so many years and still sound great.
Yeah, Alabama opened the doors for rock and country. They were the first arena country band. They were the first band that went out there. Hey Junior did it, but Alabama was the first band that actually filled arenas. And they were such a huge influence, watching their old videos and watching them on TV growing up. That's how we learned how to control a massive stage and make it work. So I'd love to do a show with them.
That would be amazing, because I remember Wade Hayes, years ago when he, for a little while, he played guitar for Alabama. And I remember, seeing videos of him. It was so happy. And he would still sing a few songs in the show, but, for him, as first and foremost, guitar player, to be able to perform with guys like this must be great honor. Guys you watch when growing up, and then you have a chance to play with them. That must have been something amazing. Like for you, when you started playing with Clint Black, in the 90s, also must have been something you were proud of, looking back. Now, I'm sure, in those days, you're so into it that you don't realize. And then looking back years later, you can see wow, we did all of this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the best thing about the internet. There are all these videos that we didn't even know existed for years, that people like Heather Depew have gone out and found and brought to light. I said Germany, crazy stuff, things that we never knew that it was even on tape. And it's one thing being on the other side of the camera; it's another thing to watch it and then realize that we're a damn good band.
Yeah, definitely. You haven't been around for so long.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to look at yourself from outside to realize, how good you had it.
Exactly, and you worked hard for it. It's not as if things were handed to you. You created your success, because some people, you can almost feel it when they're being changed by the label. They're being groomed to be something different. They can see now we got a money player here, so we're going to try to change him. And, I'm not going to go and name names, but I was so disappointed. A few new albums coming out this year from kids that I really, really loved. And I really hope Justin Moore's new album is going to be his new single, You Look Like I Need a Drink, sounds very country. I'm hopeful, that we're not going to see like pop stuff coming out of Justin Moore. No. But there's so many young country singers now, when they start having success, you can almost see they don't decide anything anymore. The label takes control and change them, and it's easy to see. But when people or singers stay true to what they believe in, and sometimes they stop being played on the radio, it sucks for us fans. But now I think that the good thing is that with social media and YouTube and everything, we can still keep following you guys, because 20 years ago, without Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, if you're not being played on the radio, that's it. It just stops. You can still play maybe in certain areas, where people but there's no way to connect with the larger crowd like today you can, even though you're not being promoted by a big company or whatever.
Very true. It is a sad fact. Thank goodness there are, still the classic country stations. It is what it is. It's an ugly animal. And yeah, you're right. When you start having success, the label wants to put you into a cookie cutter. And we almost had that happen to us. Fortunately, we were with Warner Brothers, and they were, basically going, here, cut an album, and then we cut the album, and they'd say, okay, what song do you want to release? They didn't really know what to do with us, because we were so far beyond, what was going on at the time. They didn't really have an answer, because it hadn't happened yet. Now it's happened, and they kind of have a formula. And, sometimes the formula works, but sometimes it doesn't. And you have to be very, very careful and just let an artist be themselves.
Exactly.
Because they could implode.
Exactly. Dwayne, we're going to take a 2-minute break and come back for the last part of the podcast. So people, I want you to keep listening to us. I'm having, the time of my life right now with one of my favorite guy, in the business, country music business. And I really enjoy talking to you, Dwayne. It sounds like we've known each other for years, which is weird because we talked for the first time today.
Hey, I try to be easy.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll be back in 2 minutes for part 2 of the podcast.